So, in terms of like a title for the episode, what should we call her? It's a podcast less. It's an it, not a her. Episode 433 of the TV Dudes, Mrs. Davis. This week on the TV Dudes, we are without Randy. We are sans Rand. He is off in, I believe, Reno, looking at board games and dice and all sorts of...
Oh, I thought he was looking for, like, rogue magicians.
Rogue magicians? No, I mean, maybe. He does go to a diner and he won't tell me who his boss is. But so this week it's just me and Nick. I'm Les.
And I'm Nick. I'm sorry, do you mind if I do this by proxy?
Right.
She'll tell me everything I think about the show, the episode.
Ooh, yeah. So we'll discuss the terrifying AI future of the algorithm in Mrs. Davis this week. We'll also do our Ted Lasso dessert, and before we get to all of that, it's time for our appetizers.
What did we watch this week?
We watched actually not quite the same shit this time because I went out of town for a few days.
The 1 week Randy misses, we didn't end up marathoning Leprechaun or the Puppet Masters.
Yes. Yeah, we didn't go through any of that. We did go see Evil Dead Rise, but that's about it.
Man, is it the fact that we just kind of knew, like, I know it was because you were gone, but I like to feel that also if we're not going to tell Randy about it throughout the week and have to explain it to him.
I mean, it's like puns. If a pun happens and no one groans, did it happen?
It's like it's half the reason we watch that shit is just so we like if we're not gonna explain it to Randy and watch him like try and figure out if we're lying or not, like what is even the point?
There have definitely been a lot of times in some very bad movies where one of us has looked at the other and gone, "Oh, Randy's gonna hate us for this. Let's watch the sequel. Let's watch. I wonder if we can watch all 7 sequels before." And it turns out usually yes, you can. So you want to go first?
Yeah, we just came off of Evil Dead Rise.
Yeah. Mom's
we saw it in the theater.
It's a vicious movie, man.
It's a mean motherfucking movie.
Yeah, really fun.
Pretty good though. I had a lot of fun with it.
Yes. Yeah, I like when a movie doesn't skimp on the amount of just sheer liquid goo thrown at people. That's a lot of blood and goo and bile and vomit and yeah.
And
really
everyone who's listening knows how I feel about child death. So just so you know that this movie is very funny. Because it hurts kids real good.
It do indeed.
Between this and It chapter, like at chapter 1, I'm like, ha, yeah. These movies get me.
I'm looking at your list, and I think the only thing you watched that I didn't is Zyuranger.
Yeah, I watched another episode or two of Zyuranger, which I really got to just put together a list of the monsters I remember as a kid and try and find the Zyuranger episodes that correspond to them so that to see if they make any more or less sense.
Right. Yeah, the ones where you particularly remember the fight that's cut out of this episode. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a troll that turns invisible, and I was like, oh yeah, why is that again? And I think there was a genie. There was a genie in one that was in a lamp. Like that was not quite a monster. I don't know. It's insane. I love it. I love that they have a close up on Bandora's palace that they just show the close up that they never showed in the episode because that's not her name in the Mighty Morphin.
I was really surprised in the Once and Always or whatever it was.
They called it Bandora's.
Yeah,
place
they actually did that close up. It's like holy shit.
Also, it's on the moon, and in Zyuranger, it's just in the city or something, and then on the moon again. I don't know. I can't track what's happening in that fucking show.
Yeah, it's crazy. I still think it would have done just fine with kids. Like I don't think anybody would have gave a fuck back in the day. They could have showed the real one.
Yes, it would have. It would not have done. Parents wouldn't have let their kids watch foreign shit.
You're right. It would have been a subset of like hipster kids.
It's not a problem of the kids. It's a problem of the access of the children, like of having it be mainstream, and that needed to be
Fox Kids. I don't think would have run it in the afternoon completely subtitled. Yeah.
No. Well, you'd at least have to dub it.
Yeah, but even then.
But even then, it would not be the sensation.
I mean, what am I saying? We didn't even get the Hand storyline really in Daredevil in like the last 10 years.
Yeah, that was not that long ago.
Yeah.
But now we did the foot right
Yeah,
because
we
we
did.
watched the first couple minutes of. We didn't finish it out, but we're definitely finishing it at
Oh,
some
absolutely
point this
finishing
week.
that this week.
Because you got the VHS tapes on your trip. You got some VHS tapes and DVDs. One of the VHS tapes being the just perfect movie, the 1990 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles film.
Yes. Yes, it is. Seriously, it's absolutely perfect. It's so good.
I was just watching the opening, and even before Turtles were showing up, I'm like, Les, look at how perfect every frame.
This is how
of
this should be put
is.
together. This should be the model for every future Turtles movie. Nothing else has gotten to this level.
Look at how they're making a ninja crime wave believable in a fucking realistic setting. Look, what did I just say? I said the words ninja crime wave. How fucking dumb of a premise that is.
But a good band
they are
name.
working it.
Man, I would go see Ninja Crime Wave.
Absolutely. No eyewitnesses though. It's a not well-known band.
What a great live album title.
Which also led us to because I think, speaking of, I think we spent it might have been Saturday.
It was Saturday morning.
Just watching cartoons that you initiated, not me. I would like to state that for us
no, you woke up and I was watching Muppet Babies.
Yes. And the episode, I remember that episode. I recently rewatched that episode. It's one of the first ones too.
It's a cop episode, yeah.
It's the cop episode where they're trying to keep quiet because they are afraid the cop next door is going to bring them to jail. Like even the Muppet babies respect ACAB. Like even the Muppet babies like, nah, fuck that cop. We should be afraid of that cop. Like even a cop moving in to the Muppet Babies building is not treated like, oh, thank God the building will be safer. No, the Muppet Babies are like, nope, this is an immediate problem. Look at us. Come on.
Yeah, we can't keep it
Ralph
down.
is definitely coded as black.
Well,
no offense, Ralph. It's because you play the piano and you're into jazz. It's not the dog thing.
And oh god, at one point Ralph decides to sing him a lullaby, and it's like the rockinest thing that he can play. And like, no, Ralph, no.
Ralphie is about to beat you into dust. He will. And even Kermit was definitely like, hey, it ain't easy being green, man. Right. Like everyone seems like just sing that, but I
think we moved straight from Muppet Babies into what else do we watch? I showed you the intro song for Pole Position, Like Our Parents Before.
Yeah, we didn't actually watch an episode of that, but we did watch, and then we watched
a little bit of Visionaries and a little bit of Starcom. Starcom were some little known toys in the 80s with a way overproduced, like over animated cartoon that had magnets in their feet and wind up. Yeah, there's actually a really cool YouTube video about like Starcom, the coolest toy line that never caught on. Watch some of Visionaries, then you put on Street Sharks. At some point in the past week, I know we watched some Mighty Ducks animated as well.
I think that was the same. Yeah, it was the same day. We watched the Dungeons and Dragons episode.
That's
of
right.
Mighty Ducks.
That's right, because we also watched some actual Dungeons and Dragons, I believe, or at least I did.
It was Dungeons and it was the Dungeons and Ducks, and then we watched some of the Dungeons and Dragon cartoon. The second from last episode, I think, like the enemy of my enemy type.
Yeah.
Episode.
It's one where Dungeon Master's starting to admit that adventure might be my mistake. Harsh way to talk about your kid, man.
Dungeon Master is an obtuse asshole.
Yes.
Like not giving him the whole stuff, like for no really good reason, and is spying on them as old men. You are already an old man that is too involved in these children's lives, and now you are disguising yourself as a separate old man. There's too many steps in this this plan, man. Just fucking tell the heroes what to do. What else did we watch? We watched.
Oh yeah, we finally watched Terrifier 2.
Damn, man. Now that was a disappointing night.
It really was. That was super frustrating. The movie's over 2 hours long, and it doesn't need to be, and it adds so much lore, but none of it adds up. That was so frustrating.
Yeah. Out of all the series to get up its own ass.
Right. The beauty of this is that nobody knows what the fuck is going on with Art, or if he, like, you couldn't tell if he really felt pain or not. He managed to, like, take a bullet and just kind of mime scream.
I think the worst part about it, Les, is that it tries to have its cake and eat it too. Actually, no, it tries to not have its cake and also not eat it, because it's trying to have lore, but also it doesn't explain any of that lore adequately. of like the dad being an artist and art being like, is art a manifestation? Like we never really answer that.
No, and Art's little girl and how it's so fucking up its own ass and frustrating. The one thing that does work for it is the actor playing Art, who just owns it.
Dude, art, like that movie goes through significant periods where it is like I watched you, like you and me were both, God, this movie is we might want to turn this off. This movie sucks.
And
And
then
then
Art
art
would
would
be
come
back,
back on
yeah.
screen and like would win us back.
Oh yeah, like almost immediately, like he's putting sunglasses on and like like throwing his
Yeah,
hands
and
up
it's
by
like,
his face, and like, oh my god, I'm back, I'm sold. Let's watch 5 more of
damn
these.
it, art's so good.
And then he'd leave the screen for like even a minute, and like the spell's broken. Like, what were we doing?
Yeah, it's like, what are we doing? What was
This
that?
movie's
Oh
trash.
yeah, this movie sucks. We also watched the Evil Dead remake along before we watched the new one.
The Evil
I
Dead.
actually like that movie.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, the one with Jane Levy. Zoe's Extraordinary Cabin Weekend. Yeah, I really like that remake. It is not as funny as I mean, it's a serious take and not as funny as the original Evil Dead 2. It's not even as funny as Evil Dead Rise. But it's got that same fucking viciousness and love of goo. There's just so much blood and vomit. I
Yes.
really enjoy all of the Evil Dead movies. I think the actual first one might be my least favorite.
Oh, you're an Army of Darkness guy?
I like Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness. The first one is a serious take on a low-budget horror movie, or at least that's how it always kind of felt watching it to me. It's Bruce Campbell, so there's only so serious. But yeah, Evil Dead 2 just felt like they did it wrong. Like, oh, yes, thank you for making this as Three Stooges homage. This is perfect now. And then I fucking love Army of Darkness. I saw that in the theater.
Did you say it? Yes. Did you say it word for word? I said it basically.
Pretty much. Groovy. Yeah, shop smart, shop S smart. I fucking love that movie. I went out of town. Let's see. Oh, you also watched Mandalorian.
Oh yeah, I watched the finale of that, which is also good. It's got a great, as far as a delivering on the premise of the Mandalorians have a aerial fight. That obviously most of the budget went to for this season of like, okay, so the Mandalorians fight the stormtroopers that also have jetpacks, and it's a big aerial battle with blasters and melee weapons, and they they bring back Moff Gideon again. It's okay. Like the lore stuff is not exactly like, it feels like it's definitely feels like their story is done for a while. Like they send off Mando and the kid to be like, okay, yeah, I'll we're gonna hang out here between adventures, but there's no like Mandalorian will return in.
Got it.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. So this may be the pause, if not the series total finale, the pause for at least a little while.
I also like the Beskar armor makes it to where blasters, like, they're not ineffective. Like if you shoot people in the right spots, it looks like that you go down. It seems pretty arbitrary, but I do like that it makes melee weapons that much more viable. Of like, okay, I gotta sneak a fucking blade in between your armor because I'm sick of shooting you in this fucking impenetrable armor. Which reminds me of the KOTOR games of like the shields is like why melee weapons came back into fashion for a minute.
Yeah.
In warfare.
Yeah, that always was a cool reasoning for me. Like, because it's hard to justify otherwise why you're back to swords. I'm like, oh, because we made guns super advanced and we made shielding super advanced, and now the thing that actually works is a fucking shiv.
Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much everything on my list.
Yeah, I went home and visited my mom for a couple of days, and so ended up watching. She is a huge Fleetwood Mac fan, and so we watched the first episode of Daisy Jones and the Six because she hadn't seen it, and see if she might dig that. Also watched, because I was up in rural Northeast Texas, I watched a little bit of local news because it was on. That was weird. Also watched a couple of episodes of Elementary, the Johnny Lee Miller, Lucy Liu, Sherlock Holmes, because I've already run through
like
the
Elementary.
I forget. Yeah, I like, it's not like across the board I'm gonna like every weird mystery procedural, but about half of them. So it's like a 50-50 shot. Elementary's one I dig. The idea of making Watson a sober companion to Holmes, who has come to America and had to leave England because at some point his drug shit got too bad.
Sure, it's like the next
It's like,
logical step
yeah, it's
after
like, how have I not
making him
seen
a drug
this?
addict.
How have I not seen this done before? It's like, it's right there. It works really well. It gives him a little bit of humility alongside his arrogance that kind of works. Yeah, I
Mhm.
really dig it. It's fun. Of course, we watched Evil Dead Rise, watched The Evil Dead. I watched some Parks and Rec, as is the way of my people. Also watched an episode of Poker Face, the Tim Meadows, Ellen Barkin episode with Fanny. God, that's fun. That whole show is just so fun. It was really great watching her not, like we all did in that episode, not know who was about to get killed and why. Like,
Yeah.
it's such a shock. It was great. Like, watching her like, oh shit. It's always fun watching stuff with people like that. Of course, a bunch of Saturday morning cartoons. And then Terrifier 2. Wow, really didn't watch a whole lot of shit this week. Oh, and then, of course, we watched Ted Lasso and the first episode of Mrs. Davis, which we'll discuss.
Yeah, I watched a little bit more last week tonight, and some Power Rangers documentary stuff. Like some of the, I'm interested in some of the other seasons of Power Rangers, but I don't actually want to watch them. So I'll watch like a YouTube video of like, hey, here's what happened when they got taken over by Disney. Like, what's the things that have changed when Saban no longer owned them, and then they went over to Nickelodeon, I think, or somebody, I forget, but
Yeah,
haven't reached that yet.
I have definitely been guilty of catching up on huge chunks of X-Men timeline just through Wikipedia.
Sure.
It's so much faster.
Well, how else could you keep up?
Right. I mean, my public library and filling in the gaps with Wikipedia is the only way that I make X-Men continuity at all possible. So I think that's it for our appetizers. Now would be the time that Randy would remind you all that for just $1 an episode, you can keep us in our streamings. For more than that, you can demand that we watch something. Hopefully it's not something you love too much, and hopefully it's not anime, because we're, good chance we won't like it. But you can make us watch it. It's fun. I've heard. It's patreon.com/TV Dudes.
Street Sharks is not available anywhere for streaming, I'm pretty sure, but Mighty Ducks is available on Disney. But
Yes.
there is definitely a lot of Saturday morning cartoons that
I
me
feel
and Les
like
will
we
enjoy
should-
and Randy will hate.
Yeah, we should take this time to specifically encourage, if you want to, pay the showrunner level and make us watch Chucky. By us, I mean Randy. You can make us watch Chucky. You could make us watch Mighty Ducks animated series. Nick, you and I, we left it off our list. We watched several episodes of Gargoyles. We could make Randy watch some Gargoyles.
Fuck, that's right. Another thing, I was like, oh my god, Gargoyles is so
good, and so dark and so weird. It's so awesome. Keith David rules.
Yes.
So these are just a few samplings of things that you could make Randy watch at patreon.com/TV Dudes. It's fun. So getting into it, our only real meal this week is the new Lindelof show over on Peacock, Mrs. Davis, who stars Betty Gilpin, which Nick and I, we've been saying this since The Hunt. Please put her in action shows. Please have her be a badass.
Oh yeah, we gotta rewatch The Hunt right. Like,
I don't know why she's a
nun.
nun in this one, but she's a fucking warrior nun. It seems like she's badass. She rides up on a horse. It's fucking awesome.
She enters the show on a horse.
It's great. So there are 4 episodes of this that dropped at once, which is probably a good move for a Lindelof show. It's crazy complicated.
Yes.
Each hat is a mystery unto its hat. And Nick and I watched episode 1. We are almost certainly going to talk about this next week with Randy again, because I believe he went plowing through episodes 1 through 4. I suspect we'll have 5 to talk about. So we will be talking about Mrs. Davis again next week. Right now, we are literally just discussing how this would have gone down, 5-10 years ago, dropping 1 episode of this craziness. So Nick, what did you know about the show and what did you think?
I didn't know anything other than Lindelof made it, and that made me go, okay. What's it? I never got into The Leftovers. I did watch all of Lost and I never got over the ending, and it's not like I grew to hate it or like it more. I hated the exact same amount as I did then.
Still just as salty.
Yeah, like even the Game of Thrones finale, I've cooled down on it some of like, okay, this is like the fucking not the best way to do what I can see what you're trying to accomplish. I think what I hated about Lost was that oh, it felt like you weren't trying to accomplish fucking anything. You didn't have any end game in this. You had no idea what any answers were and had to
Yeah.
fucking write an ending out of your ass.
Well, it felt like a hand wave decision at the end of like, are we going to answer these 10 things? Like, no, no, no. 5 of those don't really matter. I'm pretty sure the fan base
Mhm.
thinks they do. No, they don't. They don't.
Yeah. Yeah, who gives a shit? But
Like, and in some of the cases, it's not that there aren't answers in Lost. They were incredibly disappointing answers. I wanted the numbers to matter, and they don't really.
mhm. No, the numbers don't like they come back slightly, but not in any way that's significant. The polar bears are answered, but not in any way that's actually interesting.
Yeah, I like, yeah, yeah. So I wasn't the same. All I knew about this was Betty Gilpin was in it, and Jake, what's his face? Damn it, I didn't pull his name up beforehand. The kid from the TV show version of Limitless, and
Oh,
Greek.
right. Yes.
And so like I literally I'd seen the trailer, I knew they were both in it. I somehow had not clocked that it was Lindelof until like 2 days ago, and, like my interest immediately got a little shook.
Well, the trailer's so good, and then I think every time I saw the trailer, it ends with, produced by Lindelof or whatever, and I was like, "Oh, fuck." Like, because the trailer is insane, it looks great,
Yeah,
and this episode has a bunch of, like, crazy stuff in it, and it really feels fun. It like, you could tell me that they're all in a simulation, like they're all in a matrix, and I would believe you.
yeah.
It's it
Jake McDorman.
it's a hair more surreal than you're like, "What the fuck?" But here, I'm gonna say straight up, I liked this episode. I'm gonna watch this series. I like it. You're gonna listen to me bitch about a lot of stuff in the next 15 minutes because of just like I don't like the structure of how Lindelof fucking tells a mystery. Because, like, one, you said he finds religion more interesting than I do, and the idea of faith and like it feels like he is a fucking undergrad that's just starting to struggle with his religious faith.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, dude, everyone went through this 10 years ago, like in their 20s. What is your deal? Like, everyone got over this at some point.
Yeah, yeah. I that the specifically the hat on top of a hat here that pissed me off is her side gig outside of being a nun. So the premise of the show,
Yeah. Okay.
there's been a development in the last 10 years. It is present day, it's 2023. There's been a development in the last 10 years.
Dude, do we come back to that dude
No, I don't think we do. He was purely there
in the
to
opening? Yeah, because
we
the
haven't yet
opening
at
opens
least.
with a castaway dude that's been on an island for 10 years. I'm sorry, before then it was a nun thing that they were the Templars hiding the Ark of the Covenant. Again,
No,
show
the Holy
opens
Grail. Yeah.
this show opens 3 times.
Yeah.
Like, it starts 3 times.
Yeah. We see some Knights Templar that are like female warrior nuns, and they are hiding the Grail, and they secret it off to America. And then we cut to present day where the dude is lost on an island for 10 years and makes a rocket to get himself home. He makes like a giant flare rocket to get himself home. And that's where like we as the audience get introduced to her, which doesn't have a name yet. They do a really nice end credit thing with that.
Yes. Well, they just call it the algorithm. It's not like
Yes.
it has a name.
No, but it's clearly gendered. Everybody thinks of it as her, except
Yeah,
for
it constructs a voice for itself that it describes later as what most people find
it's like their kindergartner teacher.
the kindergarten teacher empathetic, and you and me, Les, have just inferred that her kindergarten teacher was named Mrs. Davis.
Yeah, I assume so. I mean, that's what
But
she
even
says
then,
to
they
call
don't
her.
fully answer that in this first fucking episode. Like, they don't answer goddamn any of the hats they
They
like.
I also am not they haven't really given anything either way, but for some reason I can't shake the idea that Betty Gilpin might be the same nun that snuck
Sure.
off.
Well, when you introduce a holy grail, you introduce the idea of everlasting life or resurrection. So And then you show her, she's got skills. She definitely can fight because she showed like catching that jelly jar, and she has scars.
Hmm.
And you're like, oh, okay, I get it. She's the nun from like I don't know how else you're supposed to read that. If you've ever watched a TV show before or watched know a story structure, you're like, got it. So she's like an old salt warrior nun that's been alive
Seems,
for thousands of years.
and she seems to be the only person on the planet who refuses to engage with this AI that is running the world.
Yeah, and so that's my main problem with the episode ends with her still in like, "What's the Holy Grail? What are you talking about?" And I'm like, "Seriously? Are we gonna fucking pretend she's not part of the Knights Templar at least?"
Right. She's got to at least be. We haven't even really confirmed that. Character actor
Right,
Margot
like,
Martindale was
sure,
in and out in one
sure,
episode.
hide the ball on her being the same nun for a while,
And,
sure, I guess.
and
You
that's
don't
the
really
thing.
need to.
At least I don't know, out of like the whatever 6 or 7 weird little mystery things in this episode, because she's a nun. People are looking for, like, the AI thinks that she has the Holy Grail or can find the Holy Grail. We know that there's Knights Templar that have the Holy Grail hidden. She has a side gig. Betty Gilpin has a side gig. Simone, I believe is her
Where
name.
she busts
Where she
magicians?
busts magicians for some reason. She knows a lot
I
about
just thought it was
magicians.
busting con men, but then it shows that the other dude does magic. I'm like, wait a minute, and then they
And he
start
says something about
focusing
like,
on,
yeah, maybe there's no more magicians. Maybe there's no more rogue magicians to
and that's
fight.
what I'm thinking is hopefully the why they dropped 4 at a time is that this story takes a while to fucking like kick.
Because it does have a
The
weird.
magician shit probably doesn't kick in until Ep 2, and sure, I still think, God damn it, you had an hour or like or what 50 minutes to fucking really tell a
It's
goddamn story, and most people aren't gonna if they're not gonna be into the first episode, they're not gonna be into it.
it's both confusing
So
and wacky. It's a weird combo. I usually, if
yes,
things are confusing, they are hyper serious. They're not also absurd.
there's other factions after. There's a human faction that's after her because they
Yes.
want to know what's the algorithms after, and they're cartoonish German villains.
Yes.
They are snidely whiplash
Yeah, like they like
Euro
seriously, she
trash.
she leads them on a chase and they land in wet cement and shit. Like, it is a cartoon chase. And
Yeah,
and then there's also a rebellion faction, and they're like, this whole thing has a weird Future Man vibe, only it's not a comedy.
yeah,
But it
it's funny.
but if I were to describe it to somebody, it sounds like Future Man. Like, it,
Mhm.
it sounds like a send up of this kind of genre. But I know it's not because it's Lindelof. But I never got into Leftovers either. I just remember people occasionally telling me things that felt like they were describing Riverdale or something, of like, that can't really be in the show, right? Like, did
Yeah.
did somebody have like a dick scanner to get into a door? Like, that's a thing that happened.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm glad you said the preface at the start that, like, I like this episode and I plan to keep watching this show.
Yes.
Because, yeah, there's a lot about this that annoys me, and I really sometimes feel like one of a handful of people that doesn't like Damon Lindelof, but it's sometimes it feels like
Well,
not liking Chris Nolan or
he
something.
comes from a school of storytelling that the idea that the audience wondering why, or is better than any answer you could give them. Like they're gonna come up with their own thing, which is true to a certain extent, but he does it for fucking everything.
Everything. Yeah, why explain it if you can make it a mystery?
It also like it's what us at the TV dudes. I think we like stuff like The Good Place that has the confidence to fucking answer a thing or go on to like a next premise
Yes,
and just
that's
keep
it.
going.
That's it. The Lindelof way is the opposite of that.
The Lindelof way feels so afraid of telling you what's going on because it'll like they feel like without the mystery you won't be interested in
Yeah.
watching.
No, it's like if he, as soon as he hits any kind of mystery groove, like, oh, we can just live in that pocket forever. Like, no, man, there's actually whole new lands await if you will just blast through it.
Honestly, I'm hoping she's the nun from the past and that because I think that's a more interesting story. And also, otherwise, why would we be watching a nun that actually is not part of the Templar, doesn't know what the Holy Grail is, has to be taught it? And I swear to God, if we come to the last second from last episode and reveal that, oh yeah, I've just been pretending to not know this whole time, I'm actually the nun from, and that's the twist of it.
Yeah, I'll be
No,
mad.
That's an end of episode 1 twist. You've already waited too long. If
Right.
it comes in episode 2, I'll be like, okay, cool. You're
You
still
should have
too
done that
late,
in one.
but
Yeah.
if it doesn't happen at all or happens at the end of like, I don't know what we're fucking
Yeah.
doing.
That said, I'm probably going to watch episode 2 whenever we're done here.
Yes. No, the world is interesting enough, and be confident in your idea. Like an AI that, if you're an AI that runs the world and is basically done with running the world, right? What do you fear? You are a logic and technologically based being. You fear magic,
Real magic.
like straight up magic.
Yeah.
So the Holy Grail is a, if it's true, if it's like straight up true, is a danger to you. And I love the idea that the AI knows about, like, it talks to her in force and like magic tricks, and like I
Yeah.
like an AI that's obsessed with not even just real magic but stage magic, and like,
Sleight of hand and subterfuge and yeah.
and also like the deal it makes at the end of the episode is to, cool, find me the grail and destroy it,
And I'll turn myself off.
which I think is interesting. Of like, huh, I wonder if like it wants to. I thought it was gonna after the Grail for, like you said, like a resurrection type thing
Hmm.
of like, can magic make me a real boy?
Yeah, or something like that. But no, it seems to be taking away the only like real challenge to it being like, if you're gonna be God, you can't have another God wandering around.
Yeah, and I don't know why, but I feel like the AI isn't lying. I don't know why. I just feel like it's
Yeah,
not.
there may be some fine print. It may turn itself off and back on again.
The AI isn't threatening her. Like, it doesn't. It's not the one that straps explosives to her horse. It's not the one that kidnaps. It doesn't kidnap her. It doesn't threaten to kill. Like, the AI is kind of petty.
It
That's
is. It blows her jam up and admits to it.
that's way more interesting to me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And everybody's a little bit scared of it because it's clearly kind of petty.
Well, also it'll grant you, like, if you play ball, and I like that it says, "I'll grant you a wish." Like, what do you want? And it's like, I can't resurrect the dead,
I can't break
and I have
basic
to obey
laws
the
of
laws
physics.
of physics.
Yeah, but other than
Everything
that,
else is on the table, man.
yeah.
Again, like, Betty Gilpin is trying to run away, not from it. It runs the
When you
world
realize
now.
that those billboards are set up because the driver
Yes.
has those childhood memories, and you can see her putting it together as the woman's like, "Oh my God, I haven't had shaved ice since I was a kid, and we had the best mango syrup." The next sign says mangoes, and like
And he goes, yeah,
you can just see Gilpin like,
And it's-
"This is for you."
free ice, free on Tuesdays. It's Tuesday. Like, oh,
Yeah,
come on.
it's like watching Tom Cruise walk across the mall in Minority Report, and all the ads flip.
Because again, the AI is barely. It's really trying to just get. It's not trying to hide its intentions from her. Like, I love that the convent, it like gives them like a crazy specific amount of money.
Yeah,
And it's like, do you know why I gave you that, like that specific amount? It's like, yeah, because that's the because that's an amount a AI would generate of. That's the amount this particular human being with its its buying habits and whatever to
Mhm.
get to the price I'm gonna send them. Like,
yeah,
also Margot Martindale, obviously, I thought she was gonna be a bigger part. Like, obviously, there's a reason I didn't know she was gonna be in the show, because she's in the first ep and
Yep.
looks like she's fucking gone.
yeah.
I thought she was gonna be like the part of the Templar like order, and
Same. I thought she was like the new, you know, Mother Superior.
well, dude, Betty Gilpin is good enough to give me a friendship that is the old guard teaching the new school, but
Yeah.
Margot Martindale is the new school and Betty Gilpin is the old guard because she's the one that's thousands of years old.
Yeah, that's what I was really hoping we were going with. And who the fuck knows? We could do. Who knows what's going to happen at Ep 2?
And
I mean,
again,
people who've watched
again,
it clearly, but
I'm sort of proving and disproving Lindelof's point here, because I'm putting in a more interesting story that I think is interesting, and he would say, "See, isn't that fun though?" And I'm like, "Yes," but now if it's anything other than that,
I'm
I
mad.
will be disappointed.
Right, right. And like, case in point with Lost, you gave me so long to think up stuff that like the one night at a party, like a keg party, hearing somebody go on this drunk rant of what they thought was happening on Lost. I feel like
is
I've
better
heard the
than
best version of it, and it was not what the show did.
Well, at least if this one ends in a church, it will have a reason to. She's a fucking nun.
Right. Good point. Well, I guess we'll see what all happens on the rest of Mrs. Davis.
Yeah. She's married.
Clearly.
Or at least the kindergarten teacher she's based off is. I don't know, man.
Who knows? Who the fuck knows? I'm sure
I also
all
like
will be
the idea
revealed.
Of,
I'm sure.
Before, like, I like the idea of what would Skynet do to take over? Skynet building Terminators is actually inefficient.
Yeah.
Why would it bother when it already has a bunch of cogs that are just fleshy puppets?
Yeah.
Just provide incentives and then tell them what to do.
No, this feels like a much wackier third season of Westworld.
But it also feels like if AI were to take over, this is how I feel AI would take over. Not fucking robots enslaved. Like, this is the algorithm incentives.
Yeah, we're all scared of Skynet. We should be scared of grammar.
Yes.
Chocolate attention. I'm stepping in the heart of this year. Can't be rubbing it harder this year. Watch me as I gravitate.
So, you want to do dessert?
Yes.
Ted Lasso. I really thought we were going to hit our winning streak right after the Amsterdam episode, and I see now that was naive.
Yeah.
It's a rebuild time.
Total football, baby.
Total football, baby. Beard's presentation with slides and the lights dimmed and everything was so fucking rad. And then them not
great.
And then them not getting that.
That's
oh wait, we're gonna do it? Oh, that's terrible. No, that's a terrible idea.
I love that they were sitting there just like kids in a. You get to forget that the footballers are kind of like they are their own kindergarten class.
Absolutely,
like, they're
each is in their
idiots.
own little world. Yeah. And as if Beard had just joined Toastmasters and decided to do this thing about total football just to do it.
Like, they're one step above the Electric Mayhem. Like, I got a fork. Oh, which we didn't mention,
you did it, man. Yeah.
You did it. We didn't
Way
mention
to
that
go.
we watched if you haven't seen the trailer for Electric Mayhem, yes. But yeah, the also, opening up on Jamie training in the pink.
Mm-hmm. And of course, Roy on a bike now because he can ride a bike.
And Roy on the bike behind it. Like, fucking this show knows how to.
I also love it later when they're making him run to get in shape for total football. And Jamie's the only one that's not just throwing up his fucking toenails because he can run now.
Sure, you want a plastic whistle?
Whistle!
Also, inviting the fans, like the 3 football fans from the pub.
Yeah.
And then them later, like, hey, you just gotta have patience. Like, they feel bring them in on it. And now they are somehow even more invested than they were in before.
And like, they bring a few more people. Like, there's several more people there by the last time they're watching. And yeah, it's something that's completely flipping the script. Like, it's not supposed to be done. Shouldn't work. I also, speaking of that, Trent becoming a believer.
Now, God damn it. It's something that they've been building up to, but yet even though you can see that's the only way his story goes, and yet even if you see it coming, it's so special when it happens. Him, like, even questioning, like, what is the fourth thing? Like, Ted, what are you doing? And then him at the end of the episode, he's so excited. He's found the love of the game again.
The lasso way.
The lasso, it's gonna work. Ted, it's gonna work. Like, oh, really? Is it? And then Ted is just kind of like,
he's such a dork. Yes, but he's our dork.
It doesn't even matter what the fourth thing is.
This episode had a lot of just absolutely amazing moments. We got to see Sam and his dad, which was great because we already knew that relationship was great, but we got to really like see that happen with Sam having to do
great casting on his dad.
Yeah. We got to see Jamie like be completely selfless and really be the linchpin that figures out total football.
I love the fact that they let him come to that conclusion on his own.
Yes, and he does, like, and it's their real, like, when they said Jamie got himself and he's going to continue to play striker, and I was like, I wonder if Jamie's changed so much so fast that you can't play him like you would have played Jamie in season 1. He's a better player than that. He's a more team player than that.
I think they want him to be a team leader.
I think he's
And
going to be. Yeah. Well, now
they don't want to tell him what the secret sauce is. They need him to figure it out and tell the team.
Yeah. Well, and as the announcers are saying at the end, like, they're giving him credit where credit's due. Like, he's now like the maestro of the team conducting this win. It's not a win. I'm sorry. They score 1 goal, but it's gorgeous.
He's now playing center. Like he said, play through me.
Mm-hmm.
Suddenly it's not about getting him the ball and then scoring wherever he is. Suddenly he can get the ball wherever and then trust that person to score.
Yeah. Yeah. But he can keep an eye on the whole fucking field. He's that good.
I'm betting that the likelihood of them scoring goes down, but the number of attempts on goals goes up.
Well, and this is somewhere that, like, with the training and this, Jamie will be better than Zava.
Yes.
Because, like, Zava would never have done anything like this.
He will be a Zava with secure self-esteem.
Right. Yeah. And then, of course, the best growth moment in the entire episode, and we knew they were going to get us here, this motherfuckers, Nate asking out Jade.
Yeah.
And almost chickening out, going to the bathroom, and both you and I were like, oh, please don't do it, man. Please don't do it. It will ruin this entire relationship if you start it like this. And he turns away from spitting on himself.
He not only does that, what a great acting moment from the actor that plays Nate. He looks into the mirror, smiles a little bit, knows what to do, and he looks at himself and, like, he doesn't say it, but the intention is, no, I'm good enough.
Yeah.
I don't have to spit at this former version of myself. The former version of myself is why this girl likes me.
Yeah.
And goes out to, like, I got to do one quick thing first, and spends like a day
making the rest of her workday making that box. Yeah.
And then, oh my God, it's so brilliant. It getting crushed, like, afterwards, and he just gets up, dusts himself off, and then goes and asks her out.
And I love Jade. The actress playing Jade is absolutely fantastic. But her going, there wasn't anything alive in that box, right? No.
No. Don't worry about that.
You say so. And then backing away without, like, taking her eyes off of him. Of like,
she's
hilarious.
That actress
has
she's got to do so much with so little to do. Of, like, and then Keely and Jack. I like that Rebecca is kind of getting Rupert version of feelings from Jack's, love bombing, and it's trying to, like, hey, just, I'm not saying it's the same thing, but, just keep make sure that it's not superficial, like make sure things are going. Oh, and then, Jack announcing it to the office of, like, oh, so I guess we're not keeping that secret for like, that's not going to be that's not, of course, for Ted Lasso, like, nope, that's not the conflict. Like, I guess what is the conflict, I guess.
Who knows, but it's not going to be as simple as, oh, I'm not allowed to tell anybody that we're dating.
I was afraid Sam, like, where's, like, the story where Sam's going to go? And I was like, is he going to listen to his cook and, like, call this girl a bitch on Twitter, like this politician that won't let refugees in? And no, Sam is Sam the entire time. The worst he gets is, like, I'd rather be a mediocre footballer than a fucking, like, bigot. The best bigot in the world.
Yeah.
And that's so tame, and yet, of course that gets his fucking restaurant blasted.
But it's not about Sam doing an online feud. It's about Sam and the team, Sam personally dealing with backlash about, like, bigots wrecking his restaurant. And, like, do you pick yourself back up and keep moving forward, or do you, like, just throw your toys, like, get mad and, like, all right, well, then they win, I'm not reopening the restaurant, fuck it.
Fight forward. I like that.
Yeah, don't fight back, fight forward. I'd never heard it put like that. That was really cool. His dad was fucking great, man. This episode, I think probably the best note to end it on, or in discussing it on, will be everybody switching who they are and playing like each other, and Roy's weird thing with tying red strings around everybody's dick, which gave us the greatest moment in television history. Will as Beard.
Yes.
Will with like what magazine pages taped to his face, it looked like.
Yeah, I don't know what was taped to his face, but it was great.
Baby,
it took me back a second.
Oh, we had to rewind.
And him sitting in the chair. Like, get the fuck out of my chair.
Yep, with his feet up, reading the thing. Mm-hmm.
I think what I really enjoyed was Roy getting in on the naming shit, like in the speech going forward. Like,
Yes.
what do you say? Like him and like, I can't have the same facial hair as Beard, otherwise we'd look like
Oh no, I grew up. Yeah, Ted reveals that before he had the mustache, he'd originally grown out a Larry the Cable Guy bushy goatee, and Beard told him he looked like he ate out Sasquatch's asshole.
Sasquatch butthole. Yeah.
And Roy goes, AKA Asquatch.
Asquatch, you're on fire today.
Make it stop.
Because before he had done it twice. Like,
yes.
I hate what you've done to me with. Yeah, it would have been called Sharper.
Oh yeah, we would have looked like a ZZ Top cover band if I'd had a full beard.
Yeah.
Would have been called Sharper Dressed Men.
Like,
you're on fire today. I hate what you've done to me.
I hate. Make it stop.
Yeah. Oh, I just love them winning Roy over. Also, same as winning Trent over. It's really great just watching everybody come around. Sons of bitches, they got me around on Nate again. I really thought again with moving forward and not being bogged down where you think they will. I thought Jack love bombing Keeley and being Rupert was about to be a whole like Jack's terrible and is like Rupert, and they may still break up. But it won't be directly because of that. Jack had bought a bunch of presents and shit for Keeley, and it was starting to be weird. And they end the episode on like Keeley taking her to Taste of Athens and sitting in the window.
Yeah,
which is the fanciest cheap restaurant.
Well, I also like that Jack comes off as like not trying to trick her. It just comes off like she's a little insecure about it.
And too rich rich enough that it looks crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to make a gesture and I'm a little insecure, but I have the money that my insecure gesture looks nuts.
Yeah, because I just can do more than a regular insecure person.
Yeah, like if I were a little bit insecure but a normal person, I would have got you a slightly too big bouquet of flowers delivered to your work. But instead
I filled up your office with flowers.
With your favorite flower. Yeah. It's just nuts. But yeah, god damn it, I continue to just fucking love this show. Absolutely wonderful. Will stole it from me this time as Beard. I can't believe how good that was.
Well, yeah, I love that they like the coaches are gonna do the switch positions things too. It's like why coach is gonna be our kit man.
That was great. Oh man, the scene of watching them come together, even though I don't quite get it yet, they have a terrible first half, but you can see the seeds are there in the water bottle. But the idea
is in the kit room with the water bottles.
Yeah, there's a scene where like there's a tossed water bottle dropped back and forth, thrown around, and it's just everybody's fucking on.
Well, in the thing in the first half is that they're not all like they're all trying to play to get the ball to Jamie. They're trying to replace Zava with Jamie, which I think they all thought that was what they were going to do.
Yeah.
Except Jamie is like,
Jamie's not that guy anymore.
You shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
You guys, and I love that he's like, I don't want to sound like a prick, but you're the ones doing it wrong.
Not me.
Play around me. Don't make me like the striker like this.
Yeah, because the team was not going to play well if everybody felt like Jamie's assistant, and that's not even what Jamie wanted.
Yeah, he even comes up like, I think you've got me mistaken for like it's just me on here.
Yeah, I got myself, coach. All right, well next week we'll have Randy back, and I'm sure we'll disagree vehemently about something. Surely, we'll definitely talk more Mrs. Davis, and I see that he's been keeping up TV Diaries, so I'm sure we'll have 2 weeks worth to discuss. Sorry,
sure.
Not TV Diaries, Appetizers. Until next time,
Dudes out.
The TV Dudes is an independently run podcast out of Austin, Texas. We are exclusively listener supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/TVDudes.
You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TV Dudes. All the music for our show is done by our friend and original TV Dude, Gregory J. Amani Smith.
To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com. I'm Randy Lander.
I'm Les Weiler.
And I'm Kyle Scott.
Thanks for listening.